wake up and smell the fascism. You've probably heard of now, it's well circulated, Alex Jones, Louis Farrakhan, and others have been banned permanently by Facebook, and no one is allowed to post anything from them, their sites, or say anything positive about them, or it will get deleted and they will face the possibility of being banned as well. But if you want to say something really horrible about them, could it be hate speech about them? That's fine. You post that, fine. And what we're looking at here is what I have been warning about for decades, that what was coming would make not only Orwell's 1984 become manifest, but would go beyond it, which is what it's going to do and is doing through technology. And the reaction of the mainstream media overwhelmingly, which is, oh, so they should. Oh, and he's still on, look, they're not taking him down yet, is just so pathetic. It takes the breath away. To be a journalist today in the mainstream requires no backbone whatsoever. It certainly requires no commitment to freedom and freedom of speech, quite the opposite. And these people are turkeys demanding Christmas and Thanksgiving because it will be them next. Well, it already is. You know, journalists say to me, no one ever tells me not what to write. No, of course they don't, because you never write anything that they don't want people to see. You try challenging the narrative and see if anyone tells you whether you can write it or not, or publish it or not. Well, these people are pathetic. And it's not about Alex Jones. It doesn't matter if you don't like Alex Jones. It doesn't matter if you don't like Louis Farrakhan and these other people that have been banned by Facebook, which is a fascistic organization, clearly, by its own behavior. It doesn't matter. This is not about them, except in the way that they're directly affected. This is about freedom of speech, freedom of expression, thus freedom in its entirety of everyone. Because this is the what I call the totalitarian tiptoe. You move towards your goal of total control of what people see and hear in steps. And so you pick this person off, and you pick that person off, and you pick that person off. This is what's happening. And appropriately, this very week, I had a similar situation with regard to a premiere for my movie Renegade, which was supposed to have happened at a theater in Santa Monica, California, in the great conurbation of Los Angeles, to just have a public viewing of the film. And what happened, the contract was agreed with the producer of the film 2 months before. And 5 minutes before we arrived at the theater, we're in the car for a technical run through. And 2 hours before people started arriving, they called the producer, who was in the car with me, and told him that the premiere was cancelled. And so the contempt that the theater and its owners had for the audience alone, never mind me and the producer, is just extraordinary. And this theater, it's called Aero, is owned by a company called American Cinematique. And their two representatives that shouted the top of their voices down the phone, especially the man, at the producer. He had his ear to the phone in the back of the car, and I heard every word clearly that this guy was saying on the other end. Such was his belligerence. And where this connects into what's happened to Alex Jones and these others is this. First of all, freedom of speech being denied, okay. But this was in many ways, the most sinister part, which relates to what Facebook has just done. The guy with the big voice and the short temper, he said, "Is this a film about David Icke?" And the producer says, "Well, yeah," which they knew, by the way, all along. And then came the line, "Does it put him in a good light?" And the producer says, "Yeah, he comes across very well in it. Yeah." He said, "Well, we're having it then." So, as with Jones and Farrakhan and these others, if that movie had been an attack on me, demonized me, then it could have gone ahead. In the same way, if you demonize Alex Jones and these others, you can safely post that on Facebook, but nothing positive. So, these internet organizations like Facebook and Google and Twitter and Amazon, they are tyrannies. This absolutely disgusting man, Mark Zuckerberg, who and these other characters that run these other organizations, they stand there and have the absolute nerve to pontificate about their values. They have no values. Their values, and I'm talking about all these people that apparently run these organizations, but don't really, if you go deep in the rabbit hole, their values are simply doing what the real controllers of these organizations tell them they're going to do. And what that is to censor, delete, step by step, all information that they don't want people to see or hear. It is absolutely 1984. And Big Brother in 1984 would have been saying, this is against our values. And of course, what it is hate speech, if you want to use that term, because they are demonizing and seeking to attract hatred to these people. Because if hurling hate at Jones and these others is all you can do without getting yourself banned from Facebook or what you post deleted, then that is saying you can hurl hate at someone and that's fine, but say something positive about them and that's not fine. And, because I work at the coalface in all this, and I'm, myself constantly censored in so many different ways, not least having my meetings and even film premieres cancelled. I can see from my personal direct experience how far this has already gone. And if you live your life within the parameters of, quote, normal, you might not see that. Because if you're staying within the parameters of what is considered acceptable by this fascistic system, then no one's going to push back on you. No one's going to call for you to be banned. No one's going to ban you from Facebook because you're not doing anything that they don't want people to see and hear. But you start to do that, and bingo, you'll realize how far we've gone. And what they're doing here with each attack, this is ironically, appropriately, the analogy that I've used so many times over the years, because it's really how it is. The system keeps, imagine a system of gates going down a path. And they go to the first gate and they push it, symbolic of attacks on freedom of speech. And as they push the gate, if there's no resistance, i.e., public pushback on what they're doing, then they walk through the gate. And that gives them confidence to walk to the next gate, which is a more extreme form of censorship and silencing of people. And they push against that gate. And if there's not enough resistance to push them back, they'll walk through that gate. And so it goes on down the path. And at the end of that path is a global fascist society, or Stalinist, or Marxist, whatever you want to call it, all the bloody same. So if there's not pushback on Facebook, if people aren't outraged and are making that outrage visible on Facebook, to Facebook, ongoing, then don't complain when it goes to the next stage of extreme. Don't complain when people like me get banned. I've already been banned, actually, quite a long time ago. What was it, a year, 2 years? They banned me on Facebook. We got the message. You're permanently banned. And I put it out there, what had happened. There was pushback. People were outraged. And out of nowhere, about a week later, Facebook said, wait, we made a mistake. You're not banned now. It's pathetic. But of course, I'm shadow banned all the time. That's why my information posted on Facebook used to go out to thousands of people, and now it doesn't. That's why the numbers reacting to my posts have absolutely plummeted since the shadow banning started some years ago. And it was obvious. It was obvious. It happened overnight. And although interest in my work has got greater and greater and greater, that hasn't been reflected in Facebook or Twitter, who shadow banned me. Oh, you can post, but it ain't got to be seen by anybody, more than a few. And this is where we are. And when you look at the criteria that these disgusting people that run Facebook, brackets C, disgusting people running Google, YouTube, Twitter, and Amazon, all the rest of them. The criteria is people who are dangerous. Well, dangerous in what way? Dangerous in the sense that they're putting out information that the system doesn't want people to see. That kind of dangerous. And here's a Facebook statement. We've always banned individuals or organisations that promote or engage in violence and hate, regardless of ideology. I'll just translate that from the Orwellian. We've always banned individuals or organisations, and will do so ever more severely from here on, that promote or engage in any information that our masters don't want the public to see. And the statement goes on, Facebook. The process of evaluating potential violators is extensive, and it is what led us to our decision to remove these accounts today. Okay, Orwellian translation. The process of evaluating potential violators is getting more and more extensive, because we are a vehicle, which is why these the communication of information has been moved overwhelmingly now to the internet, and these disgusting organizations run by disgusting people. The process for evaluating potential violators is getting more and more extensive, and it's removing the voice of those that are communicating information we don't want you to see. That has led us to our decision to remove these accounts today. We are looking in the face of fascism, and it wears a t-shirt and talks about values. And it's people in the alternative media today, it will be people in the mainstream media today, if there are any left with a backbone worth the name. And in the end, as these gates are pushed and the resistance is not there, we'll reach the final gate, and it won't be a gate, it will be a wall. And it will be a wall on every side. It will be a tiny box in which only what the system wants you to see and hear will be allowed. And we're moving there now so fast. And the irony is, oh my God, there are so many ironies, is that they are condemning, quote, conspiracy theories while proving them right. This is happening to me all the time. What that Icke says, it's rubbish. And then they do exactly what I said they're going to do. Like in Australia. A few people don't control Australia. And if you say so, I'm going to ban you. Me, one individual, I'm going to ban you. But a few people don't control Australia. That's ridiculous. God, it's pathetic. And the arena is becoming more and more challenging. When you reach a point where someone is so lacking in self-awareness that they think they have values while banning people on the basis of their opinion, banning people potentially who share that opinion, but allowing the demonization and hatred of those people to go unchallenged, indeed even applauded. You are in a very, very deep, deep level of tyranny. And we've seen nothing yet unless these gates start getting some bloody pushback. It's extraordinary. And of course, a great number of the people who will be applauding this fascism will be those of the, quote, left, who've never seen a conspiracy they didn't want to deny. In fact, never seen a conspiracy. They don't exist in their fevered naivety. They will be cheering, but it will be them next. If you look at the history of tyranny, like Marxist tyranny, Stalinist tyranny, Russian communism tyranny, for instance, the people and other, like take the Arab Spring, a great example. The people who are manipulated to be the foot soldiers to impose the tyranny while calling it freedom, they're never the ones in control at the end. It's always another tyranny, often of greater depth and extremes. And they never learn. They never learn. They think that this is how it works. This is the thought process that goes with this Soros progressive, as I call him, mentality, because he's funded the hijacking of the traditional left. It goes, I am right, and therefore anyone who has a different opinion to me must by definition be wrong. And because they're wrong, their freedom of speech doesn't matter. Why does their freedom of speech matter? They're wrong because they're saying something different to me and I'm right. That's the criteria of whether something's right or not. That and my values. And it works the same way, like with when the Trade Union Congress cancelled, banned in effect, the showing of my film at one of its Renegade, at one of its buildings when we were doing the London show, and Jamie, my son, got very quickly got another one, another venue. And those people in Los Angeles, American Cinematique, that the Aero Theater in Santa Monica, who cancelled 2 hours before people arrived. And of course, Los Angeles being a very big place, a lot of them were on their way by the time we were told, and we couldn't tell them what had happened until we got back to our hotel through horrendous rush hour Los Angeles traffic to get access to the computer that could send them out the message that it had been cancelled. So lots of people turned up. The theater couldn't care less, just like the Trade Union Congress couldn't care less, just like these ultra-Zionist organizations trying to get my meetings cancelled couldn't care less. Couldn't care less. A total contempt for you. And this is again, like this progressive, what passes for thought process. It's the same basic theme. How it goes is this. David Icke is evil, and therefore anyone that wants to see his film or wants to see his public event must by definition be evil. And because they're evil, it doesn't matter how inconvenienced they are, because they're evil. And like I say, tick, 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 it will be them eventually. And then they'll squeal like babies. Oh no, they're taking my free speech away. What do you mean, like you took other people's free speech away? First they came for the Jews, and I was not a Jew, so I did nothing. Then they came for the communists. I was not a communist, so I did nothing. Then they came for the trade unionists. I was not a trade unionist, so I did nothing. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. So the words of Pastor Neumoller go in Nazi Germany. How appropriate they are today. But when it comes to other types of hatred, that's okay. This story from this week, embracing racism, rabbis at pre-army yeshiva, Lord Hitler urge enslaving Arabs. Recordings show instructors at Settlement Academy openly promoting Jewish supremacy. Principal says Arabs went to live or want to live under Israeli occupation due to their genetic inferiority. Rabbis at a pre-military religious academy in a pre-military religious academy in a West Bank settlement were recorded making derogatory and racist comments about Arabs, defending Adolf Hitler's worldview, and openly promoting Jewish supremacy. In a series of undated recordings published by Channel 13 News on Monday, Rabbi Eliza Cashtiel, the head of the B'nai David Academy in Ely, can be heard calling for the enslavement of the stupid and violent non-Jews due to their genetic inferiority. The Gentiles will want to be our slaves. Being a slave to a Jew is the best. They're glad to be slaves. They want to be slaves, he told a class in one of the video clips. Instead of just walking the streets and being stupid and violent and harming each other. Once they're slaves, their lives can take shape. All around us, the quote goes on, as we are surrounded by peoples with genetic problems. Ask a simple Arab, where do you want to be? He wants to be under occupation. Why? Because they have genetic problems. They don't know how to run a country. They don't know how to do anything. Look at them. In the lecture, Castile, brackets, in dramatic need of psychological support, goes on to embrace racism against non-Jews. Yes, we're racists. We believe in racism. There are races in the world and peoples have genetic traits, and that requires us to try to help them, he said. The Jews are a more successful race. In another clip from Brunei David Yusufa, published by Channel 13, Rabbi Georgia Redler can be heard praising Hitler's ideology during a lesson about the Holocaust. Let's just start with whether Hitler was right or not, he told students. He was the most correct person there ever was, and was correct in every word he said. He was just on the wrong side. Redler goes on to say that pluralism is the real genocide because perpetrated against the Jewish people, not Nazi Germany's final solution. If he posted that on Facebook, I wonder if he'd get banned for being dangerous or engaging in hate speech. You can't reveal what that man said about being racism and praising Hitler. That's anti-Semitic.